Hey again, everyone. Welcome into Miami Hurricanes Live. We have now done this 193 times. And just about each and every one of those have been with either Cam Underwood from State of the U or the Wholesome One. Appreciate everybody being here in the live chat. Leave your comments and questions. Thank you so much for your patience. Hopefully you've noticed in recent weeks that we have changed the time of the live stream from 1 p.m. Eastern Time to 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time. So hopefully, first of you've noticed that. And then also, basically, the Wholesome One slams this live stream into his packed schedule on Tuesday. So he does his very best to get here at 1:15 Eastern Time and fit this in between his daily schedule and agenda. And so we are awaiting the Wholesome One here at the Voice of College Football, but I thought I should just go ahead and start to respond to some of your comments and questions. And again, appreciate everybody being here. Keep in mind that we will be back on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, Wednesday at 7 Eastern with Cam Underwood, State of the U. Also, we're here with post-game after every Miami game, courtesy Ross and Jordan. Ross and Jordan deliver the post-game here at the Voice of College Football Miami. Hopefully you've taken part, and if you haven't, get started with this PITT game coming up this week. Of course, the Panthers moved on to 6-1. They look like they could possibly be the best team in a very marginal ACC with a win over Clemson, 27-17. That was the first game. Clemson's been an underdog in the ACC since 2014. And they, in fact, did lose the game, of course, at Heinz Field. And Pitt's now 6-1, 3-1 in the conference, 3-0 in the conference, 3-0 in the conference. And Miami gets a win against NC State. So we wanted to talk today about the significance of that ball game. If it was just a throwaway game, didn't mean anything, even though it was a win against a quality opponent, or if it truly means something for 2021 or means anything for beyond 2021. Again, appreciate everybody being here. Mr. HD's here. Be careful, Mark and Wholesome One. You're going to keep losing Miami commits if you talk bad about Miami on Twitter. Do I do that? Huh? Me? So Mr. HD is telling us something that I saw posted a number of times yesterday. I didn't look into it. I didn't see the exact comments or the context that the comments were made by, as Mr. HD would say, Danny Miaz, to blame us fans for recruiting. Hey, man.
Resend the link. I haven't gotten it yet, so I don't know if you want to resend it for me.
Oh, okay. Thanks, man.
All right.
Bye.
No problem.
We had an issue with the link. If you heard the phone call come in from the Wholesome One, I don't know what happened there. All right, so we should have the Wholesome One here in just a second. Miami football talk here with all of you. Appreciate your patience. Pitt and Miami. I believe that game is at Pitt. Yes. And they just notched their biggest win in how long? That win over Clemson was a big one. So, yeah, again, Mr. HD, I'm sure the Wholesome One will have something to say about Manny Diaz's comments about recruiting and the fan base. Again, I know that there were comments made. I saw more so the feedback from the fan base about the comments that were made. Devontae, good to see you, live squad. Lewis, Typical head coach speak from these next generation types. Always blame everyone else. Luke is still excited about Zach Rice. Luke Walker, we're 4-3 with the #1 recruiting class in the ACC. And if anybody's not familiar with Luke, he's a UNC fan. Number 9 in the country, Mark Day. We will wait till signing day. Got to, of course, develop the players and win games. And North Carolina has been the disappointment in college football this year, along with what? Indiana? North Carolina, Indiana would be the two teams that I would say would be the most disappointing this season. There he is, the wholesome one.
Mark, what's up, man? How you feeling today, buddy?
Oh, do we got you? Do we got you?
Can you hear me?
Can't hear you. Don't know if that's an issue with anything on my end.
Mic check.
Hang on just a second. I'll make sure. Okay, that was me. That was me.
Okay.
That was me. That was me.
Okay,
Good to see you,
cool,
man. How you doing?
What's up? What's up? I'm doing well.
apologize.
I'm doing well.
So I apologize to everybody out there. I don't know what happened in regards to the link that was sent to the wholesome one. He didn't get it, so I got to make sure that that goes through. So we got it to him just a few minutes ago. What's going on today?
Oh, well, things are, you know, up and down for us, I guess. Miami gets a chance to go out there and get a dub, and I guess for someone who just looks at it at face value, Miami won. But there's plenty more underneath that we'll get to and we'll talk about. But for me personally, life is good. Not that many people care, but for me personally, life
Some
is
of
going
us
pretty
care.
well, man.
Maybe. I hope a lot of us care.
Yeah. I know you care, Mark, but on the rewatch squad, they're like, get to it, man.
They're especially going to say get to it this week. And that's my fault.
They want to hear the positive. They want to hear me have to, you know, be super positive. So it's all good with me, Mark. It's all good, man. Looks like we got an active chat though. Everybody already
we
on here
do
talking.
got an active chat.
There we go.
We can get your quick take on the game on Saturday night before we get to the comments and the questions in the live chat. So I wasn't surprised that they won. I did not pick them to win, but I certainly thought about it. This just seemed like a prime spot. NC State's good team, top 25 team, probably something in that range. But, you know, they lost to Mississippi State by a couple touchdowns on the road. They had just come off a really good showing against Boston College. And I still think they're the better team. But playing in Miami, I had a feeling, but I didn't go with my gut on this one. I went with my head knowledge and went with the straight shot that seemed obvious that NC State would win the game. They've got a lot more to play for. They're playing well, but Miami got the job done, 31-30.
Yeah, Mark. I tell you, the crazy part is we don't get to talk about the pick 'em because it's Patreon business. But I picked against us. Honestly, I went with NC State and NC State to cover. And Miami gets the dub. I mean, we don't root against it, and that's the thing about being media. You know, we speak about this a lot. Is well, for you cover all of college ball. But for someone like me, where it's like more specific as to who I'm, you know, my niche is the Miami Hurricanes football program and the Miami Hurricanes fans. You know, it's mainly because we want to see us be better. We just think that currently the people who are running it can't make us any better. But this past Saturday, they tapped into the 2001 team being there, you know, the energy in the stadium. That was the most people that had been in our stadium since Michigan State, which was like, 4 or 5 weeks ago now at this point. So we had a solid showing, nothing too crazy, but a solid showing for that. I wish it could have been more. You know, anytime we get a so-so comment from the ESPN or anybody who's covering our games, then the fan base pushes to we need an on-campus stadium of only 40,000 people, which we all know if you had a competent program that's rolling, that's a 9, a 10, 11 win program year in and year out, you would have 80% of people in their stadium. All right, it's what happened. Under Mark Richt, fan bases showing up wasn't a problem. And it was all, well, the first 2 years, 2016 and 17, we had plenty of people in there. We had 80+%, and it's 76, 75. So we had anywhere from 60 to 65,000 people in there every single week. So that doesn't really, bother us. So I tell you what, man, we want to see these young men get out there and do their thing and play at a high level. And we saw a lot of flashes this past Saturday. We also saw some flashes of things that we need to get done and get fixed for the most part. We still had some issues with some open field tackling, which it happens. People miss open field tackles all the time. It's a part of the sport. You watch on Sundays, there's people who break tackles. But if you look at what was happening in the high percentage of Miami missing tackles, it was becoming, pathetic. In all honesty, I mean, statistically proven, we were the worst tackling defense at one point this season. Now we're the top 5 worst. So we're somewhere in, 130 to 125 is still in the percentage of tackling. But we still had a lot of young men that flashed. And the smile on my face comes from, yes, we got the win. That means something. And at the end of the day, this is a result-based business. There's wins and losses. That's what you get hired and fired on, is wins and losses. They don't care about community service. They don't care about you getting the graduation rate up. They don't care about you helping build better young men. They care about wins and losses. And what I mean by they, you got your casual fans, you have your administration. They care about those things, your wins and losses. What we saw this past weekend was we have a QB who fits this system and who is healthy. Okay. When you look at what was happening with De'Aaron King and come to find out that he was hurt majority of the season and he went out there and played through it anyway, that we hurt for that young man. But you see the QB that went out there in Tyler Van Dyke, who was healthy, who's making these throws, who's a gamer. He's breaking out the pocket on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, sliding and getting key first downs, even some 4th down conversions. He's putting the ball up high, up away from these cornerbacks and allowing wide receivers to attack the ball at the highest position. He's throwing those deep posts down the middle that are 40-yard opportunities. He'll take a shot on 2nd and 10 because he's like, whatever, we'll get it and convert the 3rd. He talked that smack early on in the week against NC State, and as far as saying that I don't think that they can stop us because the previous QBs here have carved them up. And then he went out there and did something very similar to them. Okay, now I'm not saying all of this to rally the troops and, hey, it's all right, everybody. We don't have to worry about fire Manny Diaz, fire Blake James. We're good. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're taking what happened this past Saturday, and there's some good and bad that's going on in it. And we're going to talk about the good just as much as we talk about the bad. We have to be able to give credit when credit is due, just like we are going to be critical when criticism is due. That's just simple fairness, You look at also our running game, it looks a lot different. And to me, it is also the dynamic and the spark of Jalen Knighton and also mixing in a Cody Brown. What I'm still worried about is how where was this when Cam Harris was the running back? Where was the wheel route when Cam Harris was the running back? Where's the stretch plays? Where's the option plays? When Cam was here, all we did was dive. I'm not understanding that. Okay, then we get in certain situations where we're telegraphing our run game. Cody Brown gets in, who's a 6 foot, 225, 230. He's a power back. We get in and we get in a goal line on 3rd and 1. Why didn't we just stay in our regular spread and give him a dive? You don't want the defense to know what you're about to do. That's the point of calling plays. Now you do get stubborn. You do get a little cocky. All of us do. And it's like, well, they're going to have to line up and stop us. Okay, well, I get where you're coming from, but I think it would have made a little bit more sense to sit in our regular base offense and just give Cody a simple dive up the gut. Look over to the offensive line. Our offensive line has grown. The telecast spoke about how these 5 offensive linemen have been playing together for a couple weeks now. So it's kind of a mesh. The offensive line of Zion Nelson, Navon Donaldson at left guard, which we all think of him as a big mauler, which is usually reserved for your right guard. But he seems to be doing a lot better with his plant leg being his right, and then his kick leg being his left at left guard. And he seems a lot more comfortable in that position, which is new because he hasn't played left guard since 2019. But he's doing very well there. Ja'Kai Clark at center, we had some mishaps, but for the most part, his communication and the way that he communicates with the offensive line and our QB has helped the last couple of weeks in pass protection. Yes, we had 3 sacks last week against North Carolina, but we only gave up 1 sack against NC State. So that means we're getting a lot better against the blitz. We're having a lot better communication, and we're getting a hat on a hat. And that's all you can ask for when you're talking about college ball. Now you go to the pros and you got all kind of like half splits and all kind of crazy protections that happen at that level. But at this level, it's basically get a hat on a hat, drive, let's have good technique, let's play low, and give the QB an extra second to get the ball off. In that right guard, you have DJ Scaife, who's moved inside, and we all thought that wouldn't really work out well because he's still a little light in the behind, but he's doing suffice. And Jared Williams is doing very well at right tackle. So we're being more of a pass-first team featuring the run, which is what a lot of us have said the University of Miami would be great at, man. That's our thing. Spread the ball out, use all 4 or 5 wide receivers, sprinkle some tight end, sprinkle some running backs out of the backfield, and give them the ball in open space, and then feature the dives and the stretches and things of that nature, because you're going to have to still run the football. Like, it's a part of football. You have to be able to run. You have to be balanced and diverse in your attack. We also have been getting some motion going in where we're orbiting our slot wide receivers. Our outside wide receivers orbit is when you go behind the QB. Ace jet is when you come in front of the QB. That's what motion's differential is. And we've been doing that, which is a cheat code for what the defense is going to give us, whether they're in man and whether they're in zone. So it's just something as simple as that. It's giving TVD a different level of his keys, whether he wants to read high to low or low to high. What that means is high to low is my primary going to be the deep route, then the medium route, then the check down. Low to high is check down to medium to deep. And that comes based on whether they're in man or zone, what play call we're coming. And so when we're doing just simple things as motions, that kind of stuff gives the answer to the QB as to what we're going to do on this particular play. Wide receiver wise, man, again, continuing to give the ball out there to our wide receivers, whether it's Xavier Restrepo, whether it's Rambo, whether it is Harley, whether it's Will Mallory, Elijah Arroyo at the tight end position. We are starting to get the ball to our wide receivers in open space, and also checking that thing down, just hey, letting it fly. And sometimes we've been lucky enough to get some PIs, and in other instances, we've been lucky enough to just get a nice one-on-one reception for Miami. Now, you don't want to live on a season of luck. There are going to be times where when you lob that up, it is going to turn into an interception. It's going to turn into a pop pass in the air and, DB on a tip drill. But for the most part, it's been working out well the last couple of weeks. Defensively, on the defensive line, things looked a lot better. I don't know if there's been a change in perception. I don't know if there's been a change in scheme, but for the most part, we kind of got out of the 4-2-5, and we've been sitting in a 43, where our striker has kind of been splitting the difference between the tackle and the nearest threat, as opposed to them just lining up in front of the threat. What I mean by that is instead of them addressing the slot as far as lining up like a nickel roll, they've been going as more of a strong side backer where you're standing in between the offensive tackle and the tight end, or in between the offensive tackle and the slot. So what that does is it allows you to be able to cover both without being out of position. Okay, so if I'm addressing the slot, but they end up giving a route to the tight end, I'm a couple yards away from them, and they have the advantage over me and the leverage over me. But if I'm splitting the difference between the two, I'm able to cover either way and get the ball, get to the ball carrier of either one of those two. So that's just kind of a simplistic view of what's happening schematically at the strong side linebackers, which is what we call our striker. Defensive back wise, unfortunately, we lost Bubba Bolden for the rest of the season with another shoulder injury. I don't know what's going on with our players and shoulder injuries, but I bet it'll probably be addressed with our strength and conditioning staff, because a lot of people don't know this, but they're the first people to get a whole bunch of flack when players get hurt, especially when it's a recurring injury. You go back to Scott Cochran at Alabama. The last couple of years when he was there, they were having a bunch of ACL and knee injuries. And the very next season, he left to go to Georgia because Nick Saban was not happy in whatever was happening with his players as far as what they were doing in the weight room and injury being related. We also had Cam Kitchens with the game, almost game sealing, even though when we stopped them from getting that fourth, we went 3 and out. But anyway, it was a 4th and 8. They threw a deep out to the number 5, their player that was making all the plays this past Saturday. Okay, and Cam Kitchens, a true 18-year-old freshman, comes flying down from deep third and tackles him in open space. The sideline erupts. Coach Manny Diaz goes crazy. It was a big turnover on downs for Miami, and in my opinion, was the play of the game. It was great to see that this young man whose hometown is from Miami, Florida, went to Miami Northwestern and earns a scholarship to the University of Miami and makes a big play at home. That was a great one-on-one open field tackle for him. James Williams has arguably been one of the best players on defense, and he plays defense. He don't play safety, he don't play corner, he don't play linebacker. He's had snaps almost all over the field, rushing the passer, playing some middle backer, playing some one high, playing some deep third, some alley flat. So he's been kind of all over the football field for us defensively this season. We also saw a couple of Avante Williams out there on the football field. I don't know if he made a tackle or not, but he was on the field and he affected the game, his speed, because if you watch that play, when Cam Kitchens comes flying down and makes the open field tackle, 2 steps behind him was Avante Williams. And you all know that there was a lot of talk about Avante Williams here on this channel and on a lot of channels when that situation that he was falsely accused of was talked about, and things about being dismissed and all that type of stuff. That stuff is behind him, and now he's on the football field handling business as an athlete for the University of Miami. So we still have some issues, Mark. One of the issues that we did see was cornerback is still lacking for Miami. Now, NC State's receiving core is not bad by any means, but at the same time, they continue to get behind our cornerbacks. There was a couple of big plays that were given up by Clark and Couch and Harold. They were kind of going in on our cornerbacks, and it's usually the second corner. Our number 1 corner and Tyreek Stevenson, a transfer from Georgia, former safety, moved over the corner to play for Miami. He's been doing pretty well, in all honesty. So it's been the second corner. People have attacked whoever is opposite against him. Also, linebacker has still been a little bit of an issue. Wayman Steed is doing a lot better in open field tackling and tackling, period. Also, Keontra Smith, coming in number 4 for us, is doing a lot better at the linebacker position also. But we still have some of the same issues with some of the older guys missing tackles. And, some people have lost some jobs, Mark, and it doesn't seem like they're going to get their jobs back. There seems to be a youth movement, which is something that I'm not really delighting in the fact. I'm not here to say, like, get that guy off the field. I hate that guy. That's not where we're going with it. But you do have to play the better player. And unfortunately, some of our older guys aren't living up to the standard anymore. And these younger guys are, which means in order to keep their job, meaning the coaches, and in order to be fair, we need to play the better player. So that's my long soliloquy of what happened against NC State. Broken position by position. Off the dome, no notes, just straight talking to you. That's what we do here. And I appreciate it. So, Mark, hit me with any questions from that.
Love it. All right, folks, we got the wholesome one here. So bring your comments, your questions. We will get right to them here for the next several minutes. All right. The big topic that everyone hit with early here had to do with these comments made by Manny Diaz about recruiting in the fan base. I personally have not seen the comments. I saw the reaction all over the place on social media, but I did not see the comments, so I don't have a response myself.
Mark, I don't watch this. I can't watch his pressers anymore. So I haven't heard exactly what was said because Mark, I can't. It's like watching the Democratic primaries, man. You watch it because you need to know what's going on. You have to be careful with just going into things blindly, and you must vote. Voting is important. But man, it's tough to listen to it, Mark. So I still have yet to watch it. I can't bring myself to listen to this man speak because he's just spewing crap out of his mouth. And so I've heard supposedly what was said, and that he's basically blaming the fan base for how we are on social media, how we don't show up to games, and is saying that that is a bad look for recruits. That's basically what was said, and the fan base flipped crap because they feel like he's blaming them, for what's happening on the football field and the lack of recruiting and things of that nature. He also spoke about how he's not worried about recruits and he's going to lean transfer portal. He also spoke about the fact that, yes, it is true that on the field matters also, but a lot of people are only really focusing on what he said about off the field with the fan base. And my only thing is you got to be able to kind of read the room. That's my thing. I think that is a lost art. Okay, you are fighting for your job. Okay, and the first thing that you decide to come out and speak on is other people, not you, not what you've done, not the lackadaisical and laissez-faire preparation that we have to watch every single week, but fans and how they have a contribution to what's going on the football field because they are upset with the program that they love not living up to the standards that you set. Because, I mean, if he came up to the podium, Mark, and said, hey, we're just going to try our hardest to make it to a bowl game this year. We've had some injuries, things are falling off. We're just going to try to win out and make it to a bowl. Mark, I promise you it wouldn't be that much hate for the man. People wouldn't even really trip because they understand that, yes, that is true. But when you come talking slick out the mouth about how we're supposed to be in the ACC championship game, it's a national championship year, and we got all the talent, and then, like I've said, Mark, more importantly than anything else, what these last 6 quarters, meaning the game last week and the second half of North Carolina, what those 6 quarters should have told Miami Hurricanes football fans or people who are just watching a football game. They got the guys. They have the horses. They have the players. They got passion. They don't have the right leadership and the right people guiding them and teaching them. That's what you're watching. You watch Tyler Van Dyke cutting up. You look at the wide receivers all over the football. You look at the running game. You see Jalen Knighton. You see James Williams. You see Leonard Taylor. You see Chance Williams. Why? What's up with their record again? Because they're not getting it done as far as preparing our players and putting them in the best position. And that's not on the players, that's on the coaches. That's just that. And you have to be able to wear that, Mark. When we come out and say certain things, I stand on the things I've said. I stand on the fact that I want Mario Cristobal to be our head coach. That's me. I've said that. I stand on the fact that I didn't think that James Williams was a one-high free safety. I think he should be in the box as an outside linebacker or middle linebacker, and I think he could really affect the game right up close to us. What are James Williams' biggest plays? Blitzing the QB for middle linebacker, outside linebacker making open field tackles. I spoke about how Chance Williams and Jafari Harvey should start over the older guys and DeAndre Johnson and Zach McLeod. Who are making our best plays at defensive end? Zach McCloud and Jahvari Harvey. Not Jahvari Harvey and Chance Williams. You know that you have to stand on what you said. That's all I'm saying. And when he comes out and says these things, Mark, it really lets you in as to, who they are. And at the end of the day, Mark, it's been said for years. You let someone talk long enough, they'll show you if they're a fool. Just that simple.
I think a head coach in particular needs to be very careful about the terms that they use, because as soon as they drop the word fans, they don't talk about the fans very often unless they're just complimenting the fans, saying, hey, we got great fans, or our fan support's awesome. The typical stuff you hear from coaches most of the time about the fans. So as soon as they attach something to the fans and then it's a negative connotation, you got to be careful with that.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't boil over well. Because in all honesty, it shouldn't. When you take this job, you understand, especially this man talks about how he's such a historian of our program and he knows our program. Well, you should know the crazy rabid fan base that comes with it. And you need to, my thing is, you lean into that fan base when you want us to be wild and reckless and in the stadium. But then you push away from that fan base when the pressure is on you to live up to your own standard of winning one of the worst divisions in college football, year in and year out. Come on. Come on, man. Don't try that pony here. Just like midway through his first year, Mark, he said this isn't a rebuild. And then we started losing games, and then he said it was a rebuild. Good God.
That's one of the reasons why most coaches keep their comments pretty neutral, because they don't want to commit to something that they have to backtrack on later. But yeah, if you're going to say, hey, we can, and I've heard other coaches say that and deliver, to say, hey, I've looked at this roster, I've looked at the facilities, I've looked at everything involved, and this is not a rebuild situation. We can hit the ground running and go.
Yeah.
But if you say that, boy, you better deliver.
And that's all we've been saying, Mark, is I understand it. Like somebody in my chat the other day was like, what do you expect him to say? Is he supposed to come out and say that we suck and we're going to be average? No. That's all. Don't just be very mindful of what's coming. Like you're saying, you could be neutral in your approach. Now, coach speak annoys some people, but at the end of the day, it's like, just say it. Just because when you speak, coach speak, you come out and you simply say, yeah, we're working very hard. We'll come out here and play great football. We're going to see what happens on Saturday. We're going to show up prepared and we're going to hit them in the mouth. Cool, there it is. Do your thing. But when you come out there and you're talking wild and you're crashing people's other coaches' camps, and you're talking about either you come to Miami and kick ass or you go to somewhere else and we going to whoop your ass, you're doing all that wild stuff. And then 3 years in, you're like 13 and 17. You have to be able to take all of it, man. You have to be able to take the heat from the stuff that you said. It would be different if you got coaches out here saying, oh, yeah, well, Coach Diaz said. No. You on camera saying this stuff. We know it came from you. But, that's neither here nor there.
Now, if they're able to go up to Pitt Saturday and win that game, then I don't know what I'm going to think of what's been going on this season.
Yeah. Some call it a Renaissance season. It would be weird. And that's why I say, man, I'm not here to root against us. I don't want to see us fail. But you have to know, if he goes up there and beats Pitt, he's going to save his job. And then we're going to be having this conversation again next year, Mark.
Yeah. You don't want to be stuck in that marginal, mediocre place where
It's the
And
worst place
again,
to be.
as you've talked about recently, this administration and what they're looking for and what meets their standard versus what should meet the standard are two different things. So
Correct.
squeezing into a bowl game might be like, okay, great. We get some bowl money. We went to a bowl game. And who knows what their concept of that is. Not knowing maybe that there are 80 teams across the country that go to bowl games and that being good enough for them.
And see that, Mark, at the end of the day, I still will continue to say this. I want to see our players go out there and get great plays. I want to see them do well. I just want the perception, Mark, to be what the perception needs to be. The perception of if Miami goes out and wins the rest of their games, which would mean they probably will get a chance to go to the ACC championship game, right? Miami goes out there and wins the best. Be able to really understand what you're watching. You're watching these players go out there and make big time plays. But I promise you, in the game, you're going to see crazy. You're going to see stuff where you're like, why would you call that? Why are we in that defense? Why would you call that play? Think about these things as you see these young men go out there and still make plays. All right. That should tell you that it's the leadership. It's not the young men. It would be different if Mark we're out here scheming and X's and O's and we in it. And it's like every time you got this great defensive call, great offensive call, but the wide receiver drops the pass. The QB can't make the throw. The linebacker just wasn't fast enough. Then you could come on and argue and say, give me time. I just need the horses. And I will pull this together. Trust me. But when you see that we have the guys, we got the horses, we got the playmakers, we just got them running crazy stuff or out of position or not focused. That's where it's like, all right, we need to be able to truly infer what we're looking at here. That's all I'm saying, Mark.
Folks, we talk Miami football here every Tuesday, 1:15 Eastern time with a wholesome one right here at the Voice of College Football. Super Chat's on. Also Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. If you choose to go that route and bypass YouTube, again, Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. The only thing I would ask you to do is to notate something concerning the Miami show, in particular, the wholesome one. All right, Amazon. So everybody's going to be shopping for Christmas. If you haven't started already, that's not me. It'll be a couple months before I get into it. But anyway, most of you will start shopping for Christmas very soon. Grab the Amazon link in the description section. Use that link. Doesn't cost you a dime. It's the same shopping experience. Helps us build the channel here at the Voice of College Football if you want this to continue. All right. You mentioned play calling. Rhett Lashley has a big reputation. There's 7 games in the books. What has the play calling been compared to what you expected it to be?
Mark, one thing I saw this past week that really stood out to me, in all honesty, was confidence. Now, I've said this before. Someone asked me, Hosom, what was the difference this past Saturday? And I said, confidence. Now, that confidence can be Rhett Lashley and TVD in the play calling, TVD's confidence as a football player, TVD's confidence in these wide receivers, the wide receivers' confidence in him being able to get in the ball. Because it seemed as though when we're watching the first couple of games, again, we're talking about a hurt De'Aaron King. It seemed like De'Aaron King was either going to throw a deep or a check down. We really didn't see a lot of the end over the middle of the field kind of throws, or even like a backside. Let's say, for example, his 3 reads are to this side, and it's a 3-by-1. The backside guy, in some instances, looked like he wasn't even running his route hard because he knows De'Aaron ain't going to turn around and throw the ball to him. Okay, so it's like these wide receivers are starting to, I got to run my route hard. I got to be in position because Tyler can get the ball to either one of us. I don't care if it's 15 yards over the middle, 25 yards deep, or a 5-yard check down, or him taking off. You also see the confidence and the camaraderie on that offensive line growing. So Rhett Lashley, my only gripe with Rhett Lashley is with some of the other players we had, Miami could have still been having similar success, in my opinion, if he would have known his players a little better and be able to put them in position. That's all I'm saying. Because magically, 2-3 weeks later, he's able to put all these guys in position. But before, it looked like we struggled to even get first downs. And don't get it misconstrued. This 3-3-5 stack defense we played this past Saturday was ranked in the top 20 in total defense. Like, that's a pretty good defense. And we were carving them up at points in that game with no problem. You know. So when it comes to seeing the growth in Rhett Lashley, selfishly, I wish we had the same viewpoint with Cam and King. Although you can argue Cam is a little bit of a different. He's a bounce back. King was hurt. So maybe his play calling had to fit the things of what De'Aaron King could do while he was playing hurt. Okay. Now, I don't even know if that was his choice. Okay. I don't even know if it was his choice to continue to play a hurt De'Aaron King. That comes from the head man, if you ask me. These are some of the reasons why I want a guy like that out. You know, like why would you play a hurt De'Aaron King? You know, why you have such a high snap count for a hurt Bubba Bolden? Okay. I get it. But there comes a point where it's your job as the coach to override and save a young man. Because if you're out there playing Bubba Bolden and this man is hurt the entire season, played with a torn labrum in his shoulder, there's a reason why his tackling was so bad. He couldn't tackle with that shoulder. Why not talk to him about a red shirt? You know what I'm saying? Why not be able to say, don't call him son, because I don't like when coaches call you son. It's really weird. Young man, Bubba, hey, Bolden, we need to sit down with your family. We got to talk about this. I know you don't want to come back for another year, but you're hurting yourself out there. You're hurting your grade with how you're playing, your stock, because you can't play the way that you want to play because you are hurt. I know it hurts you and it pains you not to be on that field. But we got to think bigger picture here. Because shoulder injuries end careers, man. So it's a real tough injury to come back from, especially when your shoulder is a part of what you do as a tackler on the defensive side of the football. That's my perception of what happened. That's just my perception of what we should have done. I could be wrong. Someone could have a different perspective and perception. You know, it's all good. It's all relative, man. Hey, it's different people's view. But in my opinion, that's how we should have handled the Bubba Bolden situation. But back to Rhett Lashley. It's still a little simplistic, but it's getting slightly diverse. Like I said, being able to add a cheat code in there where we're motioning Mike Harley behind the QB, in front of the QB. Because behind the QB indicates defensive back moving. In front of the QB indicates linebackers movement. So you get to kind of get a nice cheat code with what's going on in the front seven and in the back end based on just simple motions coming out in different formations, but it's the same play. So it's slightly getting diverse. But then we get into situations where it's 3rd and 1 or 2nd and 1, and they know that you're going to run the ball. And then you telegraph into them being right about you running the football, coming out on goal line on your half of the field on 2nd and 1, making it 3rd and 5 because you get a TFL. All right, so I do like some of the things we're seeing, and throughout the season, we're seeing it get better and better and better, slightly, slowly, but it is getting better. So we'll see what's going on with Rhett. Hopefully this fan base doesn't start the whole Rhett Lashley's going to leave for a different job thing. That's just their staff is still around. And Mark, at the end of the day, when rumors start, as an assistant coach, when rumors start flaring around about the head coach being canned, you start doing things a little different, not to save his job, but you are basically auditioning for yourself. Okay. Because once things are cut here, if it ever does happen, then you're going to have to go out and try to find another job. And you want to make sure that what you did and what you participated in that previous season was successful so that you can go get you another job and keep feeding your family. So I think that's partially what we're seeing with Rhett Lashley also.
Folks, with 144 on the line, and then everybody that's watching on the hashtag Rewatch Squad, subscribe over at the Wholesome Ones channel. If you haven't done it, go ahead and do it right now. Just go to Wholesome One Holloway, HOLSUM, and the number 1 Holloway, and subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football. Be here every Tuesday. Bring some folks in with you. Tuesday, 1:15 Eastern. All right. Darren is asking about pass rush opportunities. I'll put this together with a comment that was made by Jordan Bowman and others concerning Leonard Taylor, who plays a handful of snaps per game. And at least based on my recollection, once the Virginia game was the first game that I really started to take notice that this guy's making plays when he's on the field. He's pushing the pocket. He's fighting through. He's blowing up plays. And then he's off the field.
Mark, you know for a fact that that's the position I played. So I take defensive tackle very, very seriously. Okay, and it pains me to know that we have a guy who is somewhat of a game record, and this guy gets like 8 to 9 snaps a half, dude. What? He ends out games with 18 and 27 snaps out of 80 defensive snaps. It's just, Mark, it's very, very mind-boggling because what irks me even more, Mark, I'm gonna call a spade a spade. What really bothers me even more is that the key to this defense is the defensive line. You think back to any Manny Diaz good to great defensive line, it had really good defensive line play. Okay, 2017, of course, you had the 2 interior guys that were cutting up, Norton and McIntosh. 2018, you had Garvin and Joe Jackson cutting up off the edges. All right, now it did dwindle in 2019, but you also had Gerald Willis in 2018 up the gut. 2019, you had Greg Rousseau, who's cutting up off the edge. 2020, you had first round Jalen Phillips and 5th round Quincy Roche. It's always been, okay, defensive line play. That's what happened up the gut. You got to get the defensive line to be able to affect the QB, whether that be, and it helps you on the back end because when you are rushing the passer and you're getting up and they're getting the hands on the guards and they're putting the hands up into the passing lanes, that makes you move the ball just slightly soever to the right or to the left so it doesn't get swatted down. Okay, when you're getting pressure up the gut, it forces QBs to have to push to east and west. We want QBs going east and west so we can come and get you from the linebacking core. All right. Then at defensive end, you got high-low rushes. You got one guy that goes high, so the QB steps up, and to someone doing the inside spin move right into the sack, or low-high. Either way, it's just the defensive line has been the key to elite defenses here at Miami and period. You talk about defensive lines at Clemson, defensive lines at Bama, at Georgia. Historically, defensive line is such a key to great defense. But then we continue to play these guys who haven't been grading out well, according to whatever service you want to use, Pro Football Focus or whatever they use in-house. The defensive linemen that they've been playing the higher snaps haven't been doing the best. And unfortunately, Mark, just being do your job guys is never enough. We need guys in there like Elijah Roberts, like Chance Williams. Okay, you also need a guy like Leonard Taylor, who have been getting after the QB, getting in the backfield, wreaking havoc when they get opportunities. So ever so slightly, we need to start increasing their snap count more and more and more. And unfortunately, it seems as though we keep holding them back so that we can give snaps to the older guys, hoping and praying that the older guys prove us right. Us, meaning the coaches. Instead of flipping them and giving majority of snaps to the younger guys, because at this point, things are just not doing well. And DJ Ferg, check my resume, boss man. Check my resume.
Oh, we got some haters.
Yeah, it's all good. God bless them.
I hadn't come across that one yet.
It's all good.
So Darren says, Wholesome One, do you think we limit our pass rush opportunities, Zach McLeod over Chance Williams and Elijah Roberts?
See, that's where it's like, you know what I'm saying? I don't really know if we're limiting our pass rush opportunities because let's be all honest. When have we had as many third and long opportunities to rush the pass? Teams have had a lot of success against us on first and second downs. Then we get the third down, and then instead of having 4 down linemen rush the passer, we put 3 down linemen and drop 8, or sometimes we put 3 down linemen, but still send 6 or 7. So we're blitzing linebackers and nickels and corners and stuff instead of using the defensive linemen to rush the passer. So I don't really know if it's more of the fact that we don't have the pass rush or we're losing pass rush opportunities. What I do know is the fact that we are not putting the best guys out there to give us the best pass rush opportunities. So if that's what the question really was implying, is that we need more snaps for Chance and Leonard Taylor, guys who could rush the passer. If that's what it is, then yeah, okay, cool. We'll rock with that. Then I can wholeheartedly agree with
that. We've got about 3 minutes here. Unless there's something that you wanted to hit on, I was going to ask you about Pitt, and I don't know if you've had a chance to look at Kenny Pickett and those wide receivers, Addison and Mack. They tear it up.
I have. So they've been doing well, man. They've been doing well. Okay, Darren. Darren said yes. That's the question. Okay. Well then, yeah, I definitely think that we do need to. You're right. We need to up the snap count for those guys as far as our true pass rushers and kind of get our first down guys off the football field. Thank you. You know, your first down guys as far as Zach McLeod and Nestor Silvera. We need to get guys like that off the field on third or second and long, third and medium and third and long, and put more of the pass rush NASCAR package kind of defensive lines out there. Thank you, Darren, for clarifying that. We appreciate it. Pittsburgh. I talked about this progressiveness earlier. Kenny Pickett is a low to high QB. Okay, low to high. What I mean by that is he goes check down, medium, deep. That's his way of going through his progression. When you have QBs like that, what you have to do is play a lot more of a cover 3. You have to come up. You have to play things in their face because they'll keep taking that check down. And what it is baiting you. Okay, most QB coaches love for you to be that way early on because what happens is it baits you into coming up. And then as soon as you come up and address it, boom, they hit you over the top. Now they'll start going medium to high, and they'll pump the first one and then go with the medium, you know, pump tunnel screen and a slant, things of that nature, or pump tunnel screen and a seam. Okay, so you have to be very careful as to they're not setting you up for the okie doke later on. So the reason why I say you play cover 3 early is because, yeah, we're going to tackle that in open space. Then we'll switch to more of like a little bit of more cover 2. Okay, so then you would have to go to that medium route, and hopefully you can hit a deep corner in between the safeties drop back and the flats of the corner, and right in between that, because that's really the only fault in cover 2. Or seams where the tight end can get right over those linebackers, or deep over route, which would require time in the pocket. Okay, so that's what's been going on for Pitt. Hopefully Miami can pull these things together, and I think we can get a close win. But for the most part, I think Pitt is slightly better than us. If we come out offensively and score the way that we've been scoring lately, I could see us coming out with a dub, and then I'm going to be on here with a halfway smile, like, God dang it, he got another one, and you know, it'll be on a national stage, and he'll come in and swear up and down that he's changed things around, and this is it. This is the Miami he's been waiting on, and then we'll turn around and lose to Georgia Tech the week after that. So, Mark, I do got to get out of here. That was a short soliloquy on Pitt. Hopefully, like I said, the main things for us, we score points offensively. Again, I think if we keep aiming for that 31 to 38 range in there, sometimes 42, I think Miami could win out for the rest of the season. We've seen a lot of things happen well for us on that side of the ball while things are pulling together defensively. Again, I still would love to see change in the administration and change in the head coach, because you see all of this talent on this team. They need a coach that's going to tap into it. Hey, God bless, man. Y'all have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Canes.
Thanks, Wholesome One. See you next week, man. Again, want to remind everyone that we're here every Tuesday, 1:15 Eastern Time. Also, Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with Cam Underwood from State of the U. So double dose of Miami live each and every week, plus the postgame show with Ross and Jordan. Postgame after the Pitt game. Please join Ross and Jordan. They have a good time breaking down the game and taking your comments and questions, as always, right here at the Voice of College Football. Also, folks, Amazon. Use that Amazon link in the description section of any of the videos. Grab that link, put it somewhere where you will remember it when you go shopping, and it helps us build the channel. It's the same shopping experience for you. So just consider that you can help us grow the channel. You're doing exactly the same thing, shopping at Amazon. And if everybody does that, then we can sustain this and succeed and grow the channel. Sponsors. We need sponsors here at our Miami channel. Please let us know if you have any connections to sponsors. And hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. MarkRogersTV at Gmail if you have any sponsorship connections. And I'm off to do some records. Next live shows, Iowa on the main channel, the Iowa channel, and the Big Ten channels. Iowa at 5:30 Eastern Time, and then Nebraska tonight at 8, right here at the Voice of College Football. See you next time.